Morning, Andy.
Good morning, Chris. How you doing?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
Not bad.
Good.
Morning, all.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, Steve.
Everybody,
How you doing this morning?
good. How are you guys?
Looks like you're back in the office.
I am back in the office. This is one of my days in. Tuesdays and Fridays and every other Wednesday.
I'll let you know when we got a quorum.
All right, sounds good, Dan.
Okay, Mr. Chair, we have a quorum.
All right, welcome everyone. This meeting is being held virtually as allowed by an act relative to extending certain state of emergency accommodation, which among other things extends the expiration of the provisions pertaining to open meeting law to March 31st of 2023. Participants will be muted upon entry to the Zoom meeting. Participants wishing to speak should click participants icon in the lower toolbar and then click raise hand in the dialog box to notify the chair. Telephone participants should press *9 to indicate they wish to speak. *6, mute your phone. That's only the call-in only option. This meeting is being recorded for purpose of creating minutes. Please raise your hand now to notify the chair if you are also recording this meeting. The chat feature has been restricted to communication with the host. Please raise your hand and wait for the chairman to call on you. All right, next slide. All right, so welcome everyone. I'm gonna ask, I believe Dana, you're probably doing the roll or someone else doing it?
I'll do it.
All right, thanks, Dana. Can you please read the roll?
Steve Wolfle,
Here representing Secretary and CEO of MassDOT, Jamie Tesler.
Paula Simmons,
Good morning, Paula Simmons, Mass DOT District 2, representing Jonathan Gulliver, Mass DOT Highway Division Administrator.
Mayor Garcia,
Here.
Mayor LaChapelle,
Here.
Walter Gunn,
Here, representing Pioneer Valley Planning Commission.
Doug Slaughter,
Here.
Roger Fuller.
Here.
Did Rick Sullivan join us?
No, he's not here yet.
Okay, we have a quorum.
All right, again, welcome. We'll move on to agenda item 2, which is meeting topics and approval of minutes. So these are for September 27, 2022, correct?
Correct.
So can I get a motion and a
Motion to
second?
approve. Okay, a second, Walter Gunn.
All right, any questions or comments on the minutes? Seeing none, Danny, you want to read the roll, please?
Steve Wolfle,
Yes.
Paula Simmons,
Yes,
Mayor Garcia,
Yes.
Mayor LaChapelle,
Yes.
Roger Fuller,
Yes.
Walter Gunn,
Yes.
Doug Slaughter.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Chair.
All right, we'll move on to agenda item 3, which is the public participation plan, which I believe has come back from its public comment period. Who's handling this? Dana or Gary?
It'll be Gary.
Gary?
No, actually, we're going to ask Jeff McCullough to present this.
All right. Go ahead,
Thank
Jeff.
you. Thank you very much. Yes, the public participation plan update has completed 45 days of outreach, and we did not receive any comments on this. This is a minor update that included the virtual formats for our meetings. We do anticipate we'll be back to the MPO with a revision next year that's more substantial, and probably will engage with a larger audience. But so we're asking for Gary, correct me if I'm right, do you need a motion on this to close out the?
Yeah.
Yes, this requires an endorsement by the MPO.
All right. Can I get a motion second to endorse the updates public participation plan, please?
Sure, I'll make a motion to endorse Walter Gunn.
Is there- All right, any questions or comments for Jeff? All right, seeing none, Danny, you want to read the roll?
Steve Wolfle,
Yes.
Paula Simmons,
yes,
Mayor Garcia,
Yes.
Mayor LaChapelle,
Yes.
Rick Sullivan,
Yes.
Roger Fuller,
Yes.
Walter Gunn,
Yes.
Doug Slaughter.
Yes.
Okay, we have unanimity, Mr. Chair.
All right, let's move on to the next item, which is agenda item 4, which is transportation evaluation criteria. Andy, is this you?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, it is.
Mr.
Take
Chair, Steve,
Yeah.
I don't know, but my printed copy didn't have agenda item 4. Is that, I'm trying to figure out if it's out of order or what's going on here.
Oh, I believe, Mr. Gunn, that there was a typo on the numbering on the original agenda that went out.
I guess.
I believe so.
I don't see like fiscal year. Agenda item 5, I don't see on my.
So that'd be the regional
Yeah, I see it.
transportation
Okay, so
plan.
this must have been updated. Okay, because it
Yeah.
doesn't have fiscal year 2024
Yeah.
in the agenda. Okay, very good.
Walter?
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
All
ahead.
right, sorry about the confusion there.
no problem.
Okay, so we've talked about the evaluation criteria at the last couple MPO meetings. We've been working behind the scenes, doing some analysis, doing some research on new requirements based on the bipartisan infrastructure law, as well as, current MassDOT requirements. So we did a presentation on the performance of the TECs at our last month meeting, and some key findings we identified as maybe needing some clarification or some changing. So this table on the screen here is the TEC as approved by the MPO in January of 2022. What we're going to talk about today is how we've addressed some of those findings. We sent out a package last week that had some pretty detailed information in it. So what we're going to present today is kind of a consolidated version of that. If there are any specific questions or you need additional detail, we can absolutely go into that. But just for the sake of time and information overload, we've summarized it here. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the movement of 2 points. You can see here the reduced traffic congestion. We're proposing to move those points to this first category in a congestion management process. One of the things we identified was the fact that these two categories were sort of redundant. So what we did was we clarified this in a congestion management process to clearly state that it is for projects that have a location identified in our CMP document. And these locations are in CMP corridors, which are a federal guidance document, as well as one of our performance measures. So we felt like we kind of had it backwards. Under this mobility, this reduces congestion. This we clarified to say these are locations that maybe we've identified as being congested, but they do not meet the thresholds to fall within the congestion management process. So we felt like we should flip the scoring. So under this first category here, now what we're saying is if you meet it to the highest degree of congestion, you can get 7 points. If it's a medium degree, you could get 5 points. And if it's a low degree, based on our CMP process, you can get those points. Here, what we're saying is if you're not in the congestion management process, but we have identified this location as having congestion, you're still eligible to get points. It would be a 5, a 3, or a 1. And again, what we're doing here is emphasizing that under this first category, this is the federal requirement and what we report on for our performance measures. But we also realize that, for one, we don't have data for 100% of our federal aid network. So there are absolutely locations that will not be in our CMP process, but will be identified as having congestion. So really it's just flipping to emphasize the federal emphasis areas there. And this, does open up some points for locations that may be in more suburban or rural settings that for the most part will not meet the definitions to be in the congestion management process. Jumping ahead here, under our environment and climate change, we did some outreach with our land use section and talked about some of the different scoring opportunities in the environment and climate change section, and kind of came up with a we'll call it first a little more of a refinement here. If you look at these top 2 categories, that improves air quality and reduces CO2 emissions. Really, these are the same analysis. It's the same worksheet that produces the results for both measures. And we felt like they were similar enough where we could actually combine the two into one category. So you'll see there was a point here for the CO2 and a point here for the improved air quality. Basically what we're doing here is consolidating them. So now you can get 2 points under this category. And based on your air quality improvements, it dictates if you could get 2 points, 1 point, no points, or minus a point. If we do the analysis and you're actually increasing emissions, you can actually get a negative on this. And this is an in-house measure that we do that we submit to MassDOT to identify if the project is eligible for air quality improvement money. So it's something that we already do for almost every project anyways. And so we felt like this just kind of streamlined that, made it a little less confusing, and you know, should work much better now, especially with the scaled scoring system. Additionally, right here, you see this promotes mode shift. This was a very vanilla category that didn't really have any data-driven process behind it. We have several other categories dealing with transit, bike ped amenities, you know, off-road facilities that we felt were better suited to actually define mode shift and be able to measure mode shift. So we felt like this was a redundant category that really had no data behind it and was just kind of an arbitrary category. So we determined that that one could be removed completely. Jumping down, these are the last two in red, carbon reduction program. This would be something like you're doing a, you know, a complete streets project, and you identify outdated street lights, and you update the infrastructure to have LEDs or other you know, low energy consumption hardware. It could even be an outdated traffic signal or other upgrades that would reduce the use of electricity. This was something that we identified in some of the language in the BIL document. Additionally, the project improves habitat connectivity. This is also out of language in the BIL dealing with you know, the mortality rate of wildlife based on you know, a roadway or bike path or whatever. And so if you include items to reduce that potential, you can see a point for that as well. So you can see for this category, the old score was 12. Under this proposal, under this entire category, you have the potential for 12.5 points now. Jumping ahead to quality of life, this ITS strategies was identified as an underperforming category that we, over the past 4 years, no project had received points under that category. So we were proposing to take a point from that to be able to use under other categories. Additionally, we clarified the language under ITS strategies to include language that if you install permanent monitoring equipment, whether it be something that would count, you know, bikes that travel, walkers, or even like a traffic counter or something like that, where we could actually collect data based on this project, you would be eligible for a point. Oftentimes, you know, some sort of message boards and data collection instruments are put up during construction to identify users that there may be a delay, but oftentimes that infrastructure is removed on completion of the project. So if you install permanent stuff, then you can get a point there. And then this last one under this section in red, construction of rest areas, again, out of the BIL language. If you're reconstruction of a roadway that, say, you know, 10, 15, 20 years ago, a town municipality received money to build a rest area, and now you have the ability to, say, do some upgrades on that rest area, you're eligible to get a half a point here. So again, previously this category, quality of life, was an 11. Now we're proposing 10.5 points under this category. And lastly, under our environmental justice Title VI, we're proposing a new criteria, public involvement with impacted underserved communities, again, based on language in the BIL. What we're talking about here is if you're proposing a project, you go through the MassDOT process, you get approved, you're starting a design process, you're required to have a 25% design public hearing. This would be something above and beyond that. So you identify an underserved community within this project scope that you go out and you do some additional public outreach, identify some concerns that can be addressed through the process. You can receive a point under this category for that. So this is a little small, my apologies for that. But again, all this information has been distributed. So if you see, here's the overall summary. We zoomed in on some of these smaller categories here. But the overall summary is, again, we're moving 2 points from this category to this category. We've reduced 1 point here. We increased by 0.5 point under environment and climate change. We reduced by 0.5 point under quality of life. And we added 1 point under environmental justice. So that's basically the summary. Again, there's more detail in the packet we distributed. What we're looking for today is, if the MPO is comfortable, we're only asking for this document to be released for a 21-day public review period. At that point, it'll be distributed out to everyone. We'll be collecting comments as we do with any other of our documents, and we will bring this back at a future date to the MPO for a final discussion and ultimate endorsement. And the goal here is to have this document endorsed by the January MPO meeting. If we can get it endorsed by then, we can use this document for the next tip development. So it doesn't have to come back next month. We can leave it out for multiple months if needed. So that's our deadline, though. And with that, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thanks, Andy. First, can I get a motion, a second, to release the updated transportation evaluation criteria for public review? Then
Sure,
open
I'll
up-
make a motion to release the TEC.
Rick Sullivan, second.
All right, any questions or comments for,
Yeah, Rick Sullivan. I just had one. Andrew, I know I've asked this before, but with the changes in the scoring, don't feel that it favors urban over rural or small versus big communities in the region?
So we had this question at the JTC, and in fact, we do not. Like, a specific information here, or a detail here is, again, this reduces traffic congestion. The way we've reworded that now, it absolutely opens it up more for suburban and rural projects. Now, I'm not going to say this pushes it in favor of, urban or rural or suburban. We feel like at minimum, it kind of keeps it where it is. And we do realize that, suburban and rural projects do not score as well as urban projects. And it's something we continually look at. But that is a challenge when you're kind of comparing apples and oranges when you're looking at, what's involved in these projects. But we do not feel that it negatively impacts, one committee over another.
Okay. I guess I just want to pay attention to that as the tip gets
Absolutely.
developed. If this is-
It's something that we're very sensitive to, for sure.
Okay, thank you.
and just to follow up on what Rick's saying, Rick, what might make sense is you guys, Andy, making special pushes to some of the rural and suburban communities to see if they have feedback, like do a little extra
Yep.
outreach.
Absolutely.
Or does that sound like a plan, Rick? All right. All right, any comments, other comments, questions for Andy?
Yeah, I don't know, I'm sort of thinking out loud here. How about, is there a score somewhere in here, and I'm looking at it, let's say it is a rural, urban and suburban, say it's a regional issue with some kind of transportation corridor. How does that weigh in? So say you're a suburban area, and fortunately, to commute, you have to go through rural areas, through the suburban area to get to the urban area where the jobs are. Is there any measurement for that importance on a regional level?
I'd say, generally speaking, yeah, that is considered in some of these items, but I wouldn't say specifically, I guess, Walter. So
Okay.
we do, so when you talk about, how a project impacts, say a community's access to jobs, and obviously in a rural area, there's not as many jobs, so they are obviously traveling, but we usually have a restriction on that within a mile or within 2 miles. So if it's a longer term trip, then no, it's not going to be collected in that category. And maybe that is absolutely something we should probably look into, is like you said, if the road connects, commuters in a rural community to their jobs, then maybe we should be looking at criteria where we can add something like that.
Thank you.
So does this make sense, Andy? While these are out, can you take a look at what Rick and Walter both brought up, and we can maybe bring that to the table? If you have something, you can send it out to members, and we can consider that, you know, upon endorsement. Or if we think those don't hit the mark and we still need to, like you said, we could actually take it up in December again too. So could you work on those 2 points that Walter?
Absolutely.
And then
Yep.
we'll see where we're at a month from now.
Yep.
Make sense, Rick and Walter?
That does. Excellent. Thank you.
Okay. All right, anyone else have anything? All right, Dana, you read the roll, please.
Steve Wolfle,
Yes.
Paul Simmons,
Yes,
Mayor Garcia,
Yes.
Mayor LaChapelle,
yes,
Rick Sullivan,
Yes.
Roger Fuller,
Yes.
Walter Gahn,
Yes.
Doug Slaughter.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Chair.
All right, thanks, Andy. We'll move on to agenda item 5, which is the Regional Transportation Plan and Public Outreach Update. Who's doing this?
That's
Gary?
me, Steve.
Take it away, Gary.
So as you recall, what we've been doing the last few MPO meetings is giving you updates on the process that we're going through to begin the update of our long-range transportation plan. We have started this in earnest through a series of public outreach sessions that we've been doing at local farmers markets. I'm happy to say that all of the farmer market outreach sessions that you see on the slide in front of you have been completed. Having been at 2 of them and talking to other staff that have been involved in these, I can honestly say I feel this was a really great form of outreach. We had some really good focused conversations with people that we may not have otherwise spoken to had we not been present at some of these events. As part of this outreach, we've also identified a career day where we can go and speak to local high school students. That's coming up shortly at Pope Francis High School here in the city of Springfield. And we've started going through our 6-question survey that we had out at each event. And so far we've entered 140 of those responses. Ironically, most people preferred to take a paper survey rather than use the option on their smartphone to take the survey, but we were prepared for that, and we have a number of surveys completed as a result of that. We're also, just mentioning as well that as we continue to go through the RTP update, we'd be happy to go out and engage with other regional communities or special interest groups. And the idea would be that we would continue to do this through the development of the plan into February or March. And if somebody has a group that they think we should be contacting, I'd ask that you please contact me and I can look into attending one of their meetings. Let's go to the next slide, Andy. We did do a unique word cloud for each of the events. So I believe I have 5 of these prepared, and may have shown you the Amherst one already. More bus service was a prominent piece that came out of that, where if we compare that and contrast it with the Springfield Farmers Market, we're seeing more in the lines of car dependency, and car in general. Most people, when they hear the word transportation, they're just considering the word car. That was a big difference that we were seeing in comparing Amherst to Springfield. Next slide. East Hampton versus Northampton. Again, I have to say, no knock against East Hampton, but this was probably the most negative in terms of comment wise that we received. We see a lot of inadequate, poor, lack of connectivity, inequitable when people talk about transportation. Whereas we compare this to Northampton, expensive stands right out, car centric, more public transit. So, a common theme of the need for more public transit is really jumping out of some of these. Last one, Andy. This is in Westfield, a little bit more straightforward. We're seeing the basic modes of transportation that are coming out, but we're also seeing costly, again, coming out of this word cloud. So we have a Holyoke event that will add into this, and then what we'll do is we'll take all of the 6 events and we'll combine into one word cloud for everything, and bring that back to you as well. Next slide. Just a few of our preliminary results. About half of our surveys entered. Most people are looking at the condition of the existing transportation system as fair, and not surprisingly, very few are putting it as excellent. Next slide. And then we had a series of projects that we asked people to rank on a score of 1 to 6. So whether it's maintaining roads and bridges, investing in bike paths, funding the operation of the transit system. And I think what we're seeing here for the most part is really no one of these. If you look at the average cumulative score, we're seeing a range from almost 3.5 to 4.3 or so for the first 5. And really, to me, that's saying no one of those top 5 are jumping out as a predominant favorite. The one that is a little bit less of a priority, and it's probably because it's more area specific, would be the removal of the I-91 viaduct as a barrier to the Connecticut River. But at least preliminarily, we're seeing that there's a demand for 5 of the 6 things that we've identified as part of the survey. Next slide. And our development schedule for this plan, we've completed the initial public outreach. Now we'll be moving on to the developmental focus groups. We have an internal staff meeting tomorrow to discuss how we're going to roll that out, but we'll be looking at a virtual focus group in terms of environment, transit, bicycle and pedestrian, and then just general infrastructure. And we expect those to happen in November to December. We also expect to be wrapping up some of our visioning at our Pioneer Valley Planning Commission Commissioner meeting in December, and hope to have the draft vision goals, emphasis areas in front of the MPO in January, start releasing draft chapters in February and March. We typically do our environmental consultation where we map all of our projects on a series of environmental maps such as wetlands and floodplains, our environmental justice areas. And we'll have a virtual meeting to do that sometime in April. Typically are looking to have our air quality conformity and financial constraint complete in April or May. And then our environmental justice update by no later than May, so that we can have a complete draft plan to the MPO to release for the 21-day public comment period in June. And that puts us right on schedule for endorsement in July. I think that's the last slide. So with that, that's our update, and I'm happy to answer any questions on this process.
All right, anyone have any questions for Gary? All right, thanks, Gary. Now we'll move to agenda item 6, which is an update on Master Safe Routes to School program. Miranda from OTP is here, so Miranda, take it away, please.
Okay, okay, you guys have the slides, perfect. So I just wanted to give a brief overview on the Safe Routes to School infrastructure grant program that we launched earlier this month. You can go to the next slide. So for those of you that don't know, our Safe Routes to School program has 2 grants, Signs and Lines, which is a smaller quick build program, and the Safe Routes to School infrastructure grant, which is more, in depth and offers more funding for the projects. For the infrastructure program, we've had almost 40 projects completed since the program began, and currently 33 are in progress. Go to the next slide. Eligible applicants for the Safe Routes to School program are K through 12 schools. So high schools just became eligible. That said, to be eligible for the grant program, the schools need to have a partnership with the Safe Routes to School program for at least 6 months. So that would be around April of this year. That said, if a school is a regional school and the high school's been part of it, and the school without the high school has been a partner already for 6 months, the high school is eligible to receive this funding. The schools must also receive public funding and be committed to ongoing safe routes to school activities. Next slide, please. Some eligible projects for this grant program are transportation, construction, and capital improvement projects that improve safety and or increase the number of children walking, biking to school, are located within 2 miles of a K-12 school or school campus, and are within the public way or a bicycle pedestrian pathway. The projects must benefit the students primarily, and they have to be ADA accessible. Next slide, please. Projects that won't be funded are recurring costs. So this could be payroll for crossing guards, unfortunately not eligible, pavement maintenance, travel lane improvements such as widening or adding travel lanes, or school bus improvements are not eligible. Some eligible project examples: sidewalk improvements, traffic calming, crossing improvements, and a range of bicycle facilities. So project costs, funding for design and construction is covered by the program. There's no match required for the municipality unless there is a non-qualifying cost, such as pavement maintenance. That municipality will need to absorb that cost. So we have 3 different sort of buckets for the projects: small, medium, and large, and they're varying budgets. There we go. And then we offer on our website this spreadsheet just as a way to sort of estimate the project costs during the application, just so we can get an idea on our end of what price points each of the proposed projects are coming in at. Next slide. Some other considerations for the projects. Like I said, they need to comply with the Americans with Disability Act, and they also need to meet the requirements in the MassDOT Engineering Directive, controlling criteria and design justification process for MassDOT Highway Division projects. That can be found on the mass.gov website as well. Again, the infrastructure project should really align with the Safe Routes to School program. So they need to include accommodations for people walking and biking. This includes sidewalks on both sides of the street, marked or separated bike lanes, or shared use paths. So share roads don't qualify as a true bicycle facility. So again, separated bike lane or painted bike lane. And we really want to see projects that connect to a complete street network near the partner school. So really making those routes cohesive and not necessarily unconnected. Next slide. And this is just a timeline for this grant solicitation. So applications are due on Friday, November 18th, and we expect to notify applicants in early January of next year whether they were selected. And then we go through the 5-year process of design, project review, programming the projects in the TIP, etc. And for these projects, also want to emphasize that the municipality must be a co-applicant, as they're going to be the ones that coordinate with us if and when the project's awarded. So that should definitely be part of the application preparation. And that's it.
All right, anyone have any questions for Miranda? All right, doesn't look like there's any, so please, consider putting an application in your community, and if you have any questions, either reach out to Chris or Miranda directly to learn more before the deadline. Thanks, Miranda.
Yep.
All right, we'll move on to agenda item 7, which is District 1 and District 2 updates. So we'll start with District 2, which I'm assuming Daryl's around here somewhere.
Yes, good morning.
Hey,
This is Daryl in District 2. So let's start first with, we've got recently bridge replacement W05015 Route 32 Palmer Road over the Ware River. This is project 605126. The project was advertised on September 10th and bid opening date is November 15th. So stay tuned for that one. In
2023, we have project 606895, Granby improvements at 2 locations on Route 202, School Street and 5 Corners. The design is at 100%. 100% review comments were completed on October 3rd, and we're awaiting comment resolution meeting. Current add date is September 9th, 2023. Next is project 608073. This is Westfield River Levee multi-use path construction from Ellsworth Street to Williams Riding Way. The design is at 100%. The PS&E is due on November 7th, and the current add date is September 9th, 2023. Next project is in 2024, project 608163. This is the Wales reconstruction and improvements on Munson Road from the Munson Town Line to Reed Hill Road. The design is at 75%. We were recently informed by the project manager that the town and the consultant are having contract issues and design work has stopped as of October 17th. The current add date for this is March 2nd, 2024. Next is project 608717. This is Springfield reconstruction of the Sumner Ave at Dickinson Street and Belmont Ave, otherwise known as the X. The design is at 75%. We're currently awaiting environmental permits and clarification from the city's consultant if new MEPA regs apply before the 100% can be submitted. Current add date on this is January 6th, 2024. And that's all I have for now.
All right, anyone have any questions for Daryl? All right, thank you, Daryl. We'll now move to District 1, which I assume Pete's around. So Pete?
Yeah, good morning, Steve. Can you guys all hear me?
Yep.
Okay, in 2023, the district is currently preparing a revised 75% design submittal for the Route 9 retaining wall in Cummington. GZA Incorporated is providing geotechnical design consulting, and so we're awaiting their submittal to prepare a revised estimate for the project. In 2024, there are 2 projects programmed. One of them is phase 2 of the reconstruction of Route 143 in Worthington. CHA, the town's designer, is currently working on final design for that project. And also VHB is designing the replacement of 2 municipal bridges in Williamsburg, Bridge Street and South Main Street. We received a revised 25% design submittal in May of this year. The next step would be to program a public hearing for that, which will be done after 25% is approved. In 2025, we're currently doing preliminary design work for a resurfacing on Route 112 in Worthington, which would begin at the Huntington Town Line and go north for about 6 miles to the new roundabout at Worthington Corners. In 2026, Hoyle and Tanner is currently working on an updated project schedule this week for revised 25% design for the reconstruction of Mountain Street in Williamsburg. And in 2027, there are 2 projects programmed in District 1. The first is the Mill River Greenway in Williamsburg, which is currently under preliminary design by VHB. A hydraulic, geotech, and structural type study was submitted for review. We're anticipating 25% design in 23. And also Chapel Engineering is currently preparing a 75% design submittal for the reconstruction of North Road and Damon Pond Road in Chesterfield.
All right, does anyone have any questions for Pete? Seeing none. Seeing none, thanks, Pete. Excuse me. All right, we'll go on to agenda item 8, which is PBTA update. Is Sandra here?
So Sandra had a conflict, so she won't be able to join us this morning.
All right, we'll move on to agenda item 9, which is other business, which I believe the major announcement is that the November meeting of the MPO moved from November 29th, excuse me, to November 20th. Dana, you got something?
Yeah, I do. Thanks, Steve. We have our every 4 years, Federal Highway and Federal Transit coordinate a review of our planning process here in the Pioneer Valley. The federal certification review is coming up in January. Andrew was not from FHWA was not able to join us this morning, but Leah Sermon from FTA is here with us this morning. I don't know if you have any comment on our certification, Leah.
Yes, good morning. Leah Sermon, FTA Region 1. I did just want to make sure we had an opportunity to let everyone here know that this certification review is now underway. We're working with PVPC staff to kind of get the final details planned, starting to gather information. So the federal review team will be looking at the planning documents, and then we're preparing for an on-site meeting with staff in the January to February timeframe. And we will also be having an opportunity for public input around the same time. So this is, as Dana said, this is once every 4 years. So it's an important process and a good opportunity for us at the federal agencies to learn more about what you all are doing in the Springfield region. So if you have any questions at any point in the process, you'll be hearing more in the coming months. But if you have questions, please feel free to reach out to me or to Andrew Rayovan, who's usually here from Federal Highways at these meetings. We'd be happy to chat with you, and looking forward to this review. Thank you.
Does anyone have any questions for Leah? All right, thank you, Leah. Appreciate it. We'll look forward to that. And as I said, now that my voice is back, the next MPO meeting has been moved from November 29th to the 20th to accommodate the holiday around Thanksgiving. Any other business?
Steve, I think that's a Sunday.
Is it?
No, the clarifications, if I may jump in, Chairman. Normally we meet on the 4th Tuesday of the month. We're proposing to move the November meeting to the 5th Tuesday. And if there would have to be a December meeting, we're looking at moving it to the 3rd Tuesday. So just nothing set in stone as if we need those 2 meetings, but if they need to be, those were the proposals that we were going to put out for the MPO to just as a heads up.
So Andy, what would that date be in November if it gets moved?
So it's the 29th is the 5th,
okay.
Tuesday. Yeah.
All right. Sorry, I had it wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. The 22nd would be the normal meeting date, but
Okay.
that's Thanksgiving week. So we figured.
Sorry about that, Walter.
29th. No, it's okay. Okay, got it.
All right. So any other business? Dana, Gary, anything? All right, so folks, interested in moving together, we are sold out in person, but you can still sign up. Have a few days left to sign up virtually, so please take a look at that. And with that, I think we just have to make a motion, a second to adjourn. Can I get a motion, a second to adjourn, please?
So moved.
Rick Sullivan, second.
All right, all in favor of adjourning, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? All right, thank you, everybody. Have a good Halloween. We'll see you in November. Stay safe. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Steve. Take it.
Yeah.
Thanks, Steve.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.